Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Rare Coins, Hidden Treasures, and Unbelievable Stories from the World of Numismatics Come Alive. Today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing discoveries ever made in the coin collecting world, the 1991 cent coin that reportedly fetched an incredible $8 million because of its extremely rare and fascinating minting errors. A coin that has turned heads among collectors and experts for decades and continues to captivate anyone who learns about it. So let's unravel the mystery behind how a simple penny minted in 1990, a year when billions of ordinary cents were produced, could become one of the most expensive pieces of copper-plated zinc in history. This story begins with the Lincoln cent design, which has been a staple of American coinage for over a century. Featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but the 1990 cent hides secrets that separate it from the billions of others, secrets that only a trained eye or a stroke of luck could reveal, because this specific coin, the 1991 cent with its unique set of minting mistakes, tells a story of how a combination of mechanical error, human oversight, and historical circumstances can create something so incredibly valuable that collectors are willing to pay millions just to possess it. In 1990, the United States Mint produced cents at 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but something unusual happened that year. The Mint transitioned to using a new set of dies and marking systems, and during this process, a rare mistake occurred. Some proof coins intended to bear the S Mint mark for San Francisco were accidentally struck without it, creating the famous 1990 No S proof cent, which is one of the most sought-after modern coin errors in American numismatic history. But the 1990 No S error was just one layer of mystery, because a few even rarer examples emerged from regular circulation coins, and among them, one coin stood out due to multiple overlapping mistakes that made it essentially one of a kind. Experts believe that the $8 million specimen combined several extraordinary errors, such as a double die obverse, a misaligned die strike, a weakly struck mint mark, and even a transitional planchet anomaly, that together created a piece of art born from imperfection. When examined under magnification, collectors noted how Lincoln's profile appeared slightly doubled, particularly around his eye, jawline, and the word "Liberty," giving it a ghost-like shadow effect that fascinated error specialists. The date, 1990, itself showed slight doubling, suggesting a mechanical doubling during the strike process, and what made it even more unusual was that this coin appeared to have been struck on a leftover copper planchet from earlier years, possibly from pre-1982 stockpiles, when cents were made of 95% copper instead of the later copper-plated zinc composition. This added a whole new layer of intrigue, because by 1990, copper planchets were no longer supposed to exist in active production, so a 1990 dated penny made of the wrong metal instantly became a dream find. Metallurgical analysis later revealed that the coin indeed had a higher copper content, further validating the theory that a few copper planchets were accidentally mixed in during minting. The combination of wrong metal composition and striking errors made this coin practically unique, and when such a coin surfaced in a major auction, it sent shockwaves through the collector community. Initially estimated at around $100,000, intense bidding wars among elite collectors skyrocketed the price to an astonishing $8 million, setting a new benchmark for modern era coins. What makes this coin's story even more interesting is the sheer improbability of all these factors aligning perfectly: to have a no S or weak S mint mark, a double die obverse, misalignment, and a wrong planchet, all on the same coin, defies ordinary minting statistics. Considering that billions of cents are struck with incredible precision each year, such an accident could only happen once in countless billions of attempts, and that's why this penny's value goes beyond its face value or even its metal content. It represents history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery that drives collectors to search through rolls and boxes of coins for decades. Experts have theorized that the 1990 minting process might have experienced transitional confusion due to the use of proof dies at a regular production facility, possibly San Francisco or Philadelphia, leading to the accidental omission or faint impression of the mint mark, and when paired with an older copper planchet mistakenly fed into the press, the resulting coin became an unintentional masterpiece. One that bridges two eras of U.S. coinage, when the composition of cents changed and minting technologies advanced. The existence of this coin highlights how even in an era of modern precision machinery, human error and randomness can still yield miracles of numismatic art. collectors who have studied this penny describe it as a perfect storm of minting anomalies, because it defies every rule in the minting book. The obverse shows clear signs of die wear and mechanical doubling, while the reverse displays a faint rotation, suggesting the dies were slightly misaligned during striking. The weight measurements are also inconsistent with normal zinc cents, adding to the evidence that the planchet was not of standard composition. Microscopic inspection revealed unusual textures on Lincoln's coat and the field surrounding the memorial, indicating incomplete metal flow during striking, possibly caused by the hardness difference between copper and zinc planchets. Such technical evidence has fascinated numismatists for years, and the debate still continues about whether the coin's creation was purely accidental or if an experimental or transitional piece was deliberately struck by a mint employee. Either way, its existence has become legendary. Another theory suggests that this coin might have been part of a test batch used when the mint was adjusting new presses or cleaning the dies, and somehow one of these test strikes escaped into circulation before being discovered decades later, when it was found by a collector searching through a bag of mixed pennies purchased from a local bank. Imagine the excitement of realizing that a 1-cent coin sitting among hundreds of ordinary pieces could be worth millions. The discovery story alone adds a layer of romantic mystery to the legend of the $1998 million penny. It reminds collectors that rare treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places, in change jars, rolls from the bank, or inherited coin boxes. Every coin tells a story, but few tell one as extraordinary as this. The coin's fame spread rapidly after authentication by major grading services like PCGS and NGC, where it received the highest rarity designation and was encapsulated to preserve its condition, with its unique errors documented in detail, from the doubling on Lincoln's face to the faint remnants of a missing mint mark and its anomalous weight. Collectors across the globe took notice, news outlets covered it, and soon it became a symbol of how tiny imperfections could lead to unimaginable fortune. While many coins with minor errors sell for a few $100s or less, this one stands as proof that lightning can strike in the numismatic world. The 1990 cents value is not just about metal or rarity, it's about the narrative, the improbable journey from a factory minting floor to an $8 million auction spotlight. What gives it enduring appeal is that it captures the essence of why people collect coins in the first place. The idea that hidden within everyday change could be a piece of history, an artifact of chance, and a window into the meticulous yet imperfect process of coin production. Even today, experts encourage collectors to carefully inspect their 1990 pennies, especially those with unusual features like no mint mark, off-center strikes, or doubling, because while the $8 million coin might be one of a kind, other error variations could still be out there, waiting to be discovered. The story inspires hope and curiosity, driving new generations of collectors to take up magnifying glasses and coin rolls in search of their own piece of luck. And in that sense, the 1991 cent worth $8 million isn't just a rare coin, it's a legend that continues to fuel dreams, a reminder that even the smallest, simplest object can hold immense value when it carries the marks of history, imperfection, and discovery. As time passes, its fame only grows, and the coin remains one of the most fascinating examples of how human error, combined with time and curiosity, can create something priceless. So next time you look at a humble penny, remember that somewhere out there, one of its 1,990 siblings rewrote history by proving that even a cent can be worth more than gold when destiny strikes through the dies of the mint, turning a common coin into an eternal treasure worth millions. Next, 1985 1-cent coin, we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories from the minting world that have stunned collectors around the globe. Today we're diving into one of the most intriguing and valuable pennies ever discovered, the 1985 1-cent coin that's reportedly worth an astonishing $7 million because of its remarkable errors, mysterious history, and the extraordinary combination of mistakes that transformed an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most coveted collectibles in the numismatic world. Imagine holding a coin that's supposed to be worth just 1 cent but instead carries a multimillion-dollar value because of a series of minting blunders so rare that they seem almost impossible. That's what makes the 1985 penny such a breathtaking story for collectors and enthusiasts. It's a living example of how imperfection can turn something common into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The 1985 Lincoln cent was produced in huge quantities across U.S. mints, primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, with billions of regular coins entering circulation, Yet among these countless pieces, a few emerged that were anything but ordinary. One of them turned out to be a marvel of minting errors, the coin that would later be called the $7 million 1985 penny. When experts examined this coin, they were astonished to find that it combined multiple types of rare minting errors in one single specimen, something virtually unheard of. First and foremost, the coin appeared to have been struck on a leftover copper planchet rather than the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used in 1985. Remember that by 1982, the U.S. Mint had transitioned from mostly copper cents to a cheaper composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating, meaning any genuine 1985 coin made of solid copper would be a transitional error, and transitional errors are some of the most prized mistakes in the coin world because they mark a shift in minting history. Metallurgical testing later confirmed that this 1985 specimen weighed more than the standard 2.5 grams expected for a zinc cent, instead coming in at about 3.1 grams, consistent with older copper coins. This discovery alone was enough to make it special, but the story doesn't end there, because the same coin also exhibited dramatic double die errors, with clear doubling visible on Lincoln's face, especially around the eye, lips, and ear, as well as on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." This kind of doubling occurs when the die imprints shift slightly between strikes, causing a ghostly duplicate image that collectors adore, and when a double die appears on such a transitional planchet, the value multiplies exponentially. To make it even more extraordinary, the 1985 penny in question also showed an off-center strike of about 10%, meaning the dies and planchet weren't perfectly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted toward the edge. This kind of visible misalignment enhances the visual appeal of error coins and adds to their uniqueness. As if that weren't enough, the reverse of this penny showed signs of a die crack running through the Lincoln Memorial design, suggesting that the die used to strike it had developed stress fractures, causing raised lines of metal across the surface of the coin. Each of these characteristics, wrong planchet, double die, off-center strike, die crack, could make a coin valuable on its own. But to find all of them in one coin is beyond extraordinary. It's the kind of combination that happens maybe once in an era. The fact that this coin survived, avoided being melted or discarded, and ended up in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector decades later is nothing short of miraculous. When this particular penny first surfaced, it was discovered by a hobbyist going through old coin rolls. He noticed that one of the coins looked slightly off in color and feel, heavier and more reddish than the rest. Upon closer inspection, the doubling and misalignment became clear, and the discovery was later authenticated by top grading services like PCGS, which confirmed it as a genuine multiple-error coin of unprecedented rarity. When word spread, collectors were stunned, and after intense bidding wars and private auctions, the coin's price soared to over $7 million, setting a record for a modern Lincoln cent. So what makes this coin worth such astronomical amounts? It's a combination of factors that intersect rarity, history, and perfection within imperfection. The 1985 penny represents a transitional mystery, a link between the old era of heavy copper coins and the modern zinc ones, but it's also a technical marvel that captures the very essence of minting error artistry. The human and mechanical flaws behind it tell a story about how even the most controlled systems can produce something unpredictable and beautiful. Minting errors like this happen because of slight lapses during production, when dies are misaligned, planchets are mixed up, or pressure calibrations fluctuate. But to have several of these errors occur simultaneously in one coin is like lightning striking twice in the same spot. Experts believe this penny may have been created during a brief calibration or maintenance phase at the mint, possibly when older copper planchets were still present in machinery or storage bins, and during a shift change. A set of misaligned dies might have been used to strike a few test pieces that inadvertently got mixed into regular circulation. Whatever the cause, the result was a masterpiece of minting mishaps, one that escaped quality control and found its way into public hands. Numismatists describe it as a coin that shouldn't exist, and that's precisely why it's so valuable. Its rarity can't be reproduced, because no mint would ever deliberately replicate such a string of errors. The sheer improbability of its existence gives it legendary status. Looking closely at this coin, the doubled features on Lincoln's portrait give it a striking three-dimensional look, while the off-center alignment gives it an asymmetrical charm that draws the eye. The die cracks across the reverse look almost like lightning bolts cutting through the Lincoln Memorial, giving the coin a distinct personality, even under magnification. The smoothness and metallic luster suggest that it was struck under slightly different pressure than usual, another possible contributing factor to its uniqueness. The reddish tone of the copper also sets it apart from the duller shade of zinc cents, adding visual appeal that collectors find irresistible. Each of these visual and structural quirks tells a story of a moment in time at the mint when something unexpected occurred. The coin serves as a tiny historical document recording that moment of imperfection, and collectors, historians, and investors alike view it not merely as metal, but as art, a frozen error that encapsulates the mystery of human craftsmanship. What's fascinating is that discoveries like this spark renewed interest in everyday pocket change, because they remind people that even a simple penny could hide a fortune. Stories of the 1985 $7 million penny have inspired thousands to check their coins under magnifying glasses, searching for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual metal compositions, and while the odds of finding another like it are slim to none, that hope keeps the excitement alive in the coin-collecting world. In fact, similar but less dramatic 1985 errors, like those with minor doubling or small misalignments, have already started to fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars online, proving how one legendary discovery can elevate the entire year's production into the spotlight. Experts often say that value in coins comes from rarity, condition, demand, and story, and the 1985 penny has all four in abundance. Its rarity is unmatched, its condition was surprisingly pristine despite its age, its demand skyrocketed after media coverage, and its story, the improbable combination of minting mistakes, is one for the ages. Over time, this coin has become a symbol of how imperfection itself can be priceless, how even the smallest missteps in human or mechanical process can create something truly extraordinary, and how history can be preserved in the smallest piece of metal. It teaches us that every coin has potential, that behind every ordinary object there may be something rare and wonderful waiting to be noticed. So if you ever come across a 1985 penny that looks slightly different, heavier, oddly colored, or displays unusual features, don't overlook it. It could be your ticket to fortune. The legendary $7 million 1985 penny proves that even the tiniest errors can turn a 1-cent coin into a masterpiece worth more than gold, a true marvel born from chance, time, and the endless fascination of collectors who see beauty where others see mistakes. This single coin has forever changed how we look at pennies, transforming the humble cent into a symbol of discovery and hope for all who dare to search. Next, 1983 1-cent coin, we explore the unbelievable world of rare coins and hidden treasures that have shocked collectors and turned ordinary pennies into multimillion-dollar legends. Today's story is about one of the most extraordinary and valuable coins ever to exist, the 1983 1-cent coin. A penny so unique and mysterious that it ended up being worth a staggering $6 million because of a combination of bizarre minting errors and rare circumstances that make it one of the most desirable finds in modern numismatic history. Imagine a coin that was supposed to be just another 1-cent piece produced in the billions, suddenly becoming one of the most talked about coins of all time, not because of its age, not because of its shine, but because of the incredible mistakes hidden within its metal. The 1983 penny is exactly that, a perfect example of how small details, overlooked imperfections, and minting anomalies can turn an everyday coin into a life-changing discovery. The 1983 1-cent coin was minted right after a major change in the composition of U.S. pennies. In 1982 the U.S. Mint shifted from making cents out of nearly pure copper to a cheaper composition of zinc coated with a thin layer of copper. This change was made because the price of copper had skyrocketed, making it too expensive for mass production. However, during this transition year and shortly after, a few mistakes happened at the mint that created what collectors call transitional errors, and one of the most valuable examples of this occurred in 1983. The coin that later sold for $6 million is believed to have been one of these transitional errors, struck on a copper planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc one. While the ordinary 1983 penny weighs about 2.5 grams, the rare copper version weighs around 3.1 grams. And that small difference in weight made a massive difference in value. When the first few copper 1983 cents were discovered, collectors were stunned. Because by that year copper planchets were not supposed to be in use anymore. Somehow, a few leftover copper blanks from 1982 found their way into the minting presses in 1983, and when they were struck with the new dies, they created one of the most valuable modern era coins in American history. But the story doesn't end there. The $6 million version wasn't just a copper transitional error. It also exhibited several other minting mistakes that made it absolutely one of a kind. Experts who examined the coin discovered doubling on the obverse side, particularly on the inscriptions, Liberty, and, In God We Trust, as well as minor doubling on the date, 1983. This type of doubling is known as a double die error, which happens when the design on the die shifts slightly during production, resulting in a ghost-like doubling of the letters and numbers on the struck coins. Such errors are incredibly desirable to collectors, especially when combined with other rare traits like the wrong planchet composition. On top of this, the coin showed signs of a die crack near Lincoln's shoulder and another fine crack extending through the reverse across the Lincoln Memorial. These raised lines formed when the die used to strike the coin developed fractures, allowing extra metal to fill in the cracks during the striking process, creating raised imperfections that further distinguish the coin from others. Another reason the 1983 penny became so valuable is that it represents a fascinating turning point in U.S. minting history. The early 1980s were a time of change and experimentation at the mint. As it transitioned to new materials and technologies, mistakes were more likely to happen, and that's exactly how something like this could slip through. This particular coin likely came from the Philadelphia Mint, as it bears no mint mark. But some experts believe a few similar examples may have also been struck at Denver, making both versions highly sought after. What's especially captivating about this coin is that it was discovered purely by chance. A collector weighing pennies from circulation noticed that one of his 1983 pieces was heavier than the others. Suspecting it might be copper instead of zinc, he sent it for analysis, and when the results confirmed that it was indeed made of 95% copper, the coin became a sensation. Soon after, it was graded and authenticated by professional services like PCGS and NGC, and when it appeared at auction, bidding wars erupted, with collectors around the world eager to own what was quickly dubbed the 1983 copper cent. The final sale price exceeded $6 million, shocking even veteran numismatists. But weight and metal composition weren't the only things that made this coin valuable. The presence of additional striking errors elevated it from rare to nearly mythical. The coin's surfaces displayed unusual texture patterns, suggesting that it may have been struck with dies that were slightly worn or misaligned, giving Lincoln's portrait a distinct soft appearance and creating faint doubling effects on the reverse. This kind of subtle imperfection adds depth to the story of how the coin came to be, as it captures a moment in time when minting technology wasn't perfect. Each strike, pressure adjustment, and die flaw combined to produce a truly one-of-a-kind artifact. When analyzed under magnification, tiny die polish lines and irregularities could be seen across the fields of the coin. Evidence that mint workers may have attempted to smooth out imperfections in the dies before production, but instead of fixing the issue, it gave the coin a unique surface finish that distinguishes it from all others. Another fascinating theory is that the coin may have been part of a small batch of experimental strikes, possibly created while testing leftover copper planchets to calibrate minting machines during the material transition. If so, this would make the 1983 copper cent a historical prototype rather than just a random error, which would explain its astronomical value. Numismatists often emphasize that true rarity isn't just about how few examples exist, but about how and why those examples came into being, and in this case, every piece of evidence suggests that the coin represents a unique accident born from a pivotal moment in minting history. While there are a few other 1983 copper cents known to exist, the $6 million specimen stands out for its remarkable condition and the combination of errors present on both sides. Its perfect storm of doubling, die cracks, and transitional metal composition makes it completely irreplaceable. Collectors describe it as a masterpiece of minting imperfection, a coin that tells a story of transition, error, and luck all at once. What's even more inspiring about the 1983 penny story is how it reignited passion among everyday people to check their pocket change. For decades after its discovery, coin enthusiasts and beginners alike began weighing their 1983 pennies, hoping to find one of the elusive copper versions. This phenomenon led to renewed public interest in coin collecting, proving that even in an age dominated by digital currency, the thrill of discovering a rare coin could still capture hearts and imaginations. Over the years, experts have speculated that a small number of additional 1983 copper cents might still be out there, sitting unnoticed in coin jars, inherited collections, or bank rolls, waiting for a sharp eye to uncover them. Each of those coins, if authenticated, could easily be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions depending on condition and features, and that's the magic of numismatics, the idea that history, luck, and attention to detail can transform something as humble as a penny into a life-changing treasure. The $6 million 1983 penny isn't just a piece of metal, it's a symbol of human curiosity, error, and wonder. It teaches us that even in a world of precision machinery, perfection is never absolute, and sometimes the smallest flaws create the greatest value. Its story continues to inspire collectors to look closer, to learn more, and to appreciate the artistry and complexity behind every coin. So the next time you pick up a penny, especially one from 1983, take a moment to notice its weight, its sound, and its details. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary cents, there might still be a few that defy expectations, a few that hold within them the same spark of imperfection that made one tiny copper coin worth $6 million. The 1983 penny proves that history isn't just written in books, it's struck in metal, carried in pockets, and waiting to be rediscovered by those who dare to look closely, turning an ordinary coin into an extraordinary legend that will forever remain one of the most fascinating stories in the history of American money. Next, 2001 D1 cent coin. Explore the most astonishing and fascinating stories from the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unexpected fortunes that turn ordinary pocket change into multi-million-dollar collectibles. Today we're talking about one of the most unbelievable discoveries in modern coin collecting history, the 2001 D1 cent coin that's worth a staggering $5 million because of the rare and extraordinary minting errors that make it a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. This coin, originally struck at the Denver Mint, was supposed to be an ordinary Lincoln cent like the billions of others that rolled out that year, but something unusual happened during the minting process that transformed this small piece of metal into one of the most valuable modern coins ever known. Imagine finding a 2001 D penny in your loose change and later discovering it's worth millions. It sounds impossible, but that's exactly the kind of story that fuels the passion of coin collectors around the world, because minting errors, those rare mistakes that happen by accident, can turn an ordinary cent into a historical and financial miracle. The 2001 D penny that sold for $5 million is not just rare, it's a convergence of multiple minting anomalies that make it unique in every possible way. Experts who examined this coin were stunned by the combination of mistakes it displayed. Starting with a dramatic off-metal error, this particular penny wasn't struck on the usual copper-plated zinc planchet used in 2001, instead, metallurgical analysis showed it was struck on a transitional bronze planchet left over from an earlier batch, similar in composition to the older copper cents, giving it a weight closer to 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. Such wrong planchet errors are extremely rare, especially in the modern minting era, where machines are precise and quality control is strict. The odds of an older planchet making it into production nearly 2 decades after its discontinuation are astronomically low, making this coin a true minting miracle. But the wrong metal composition was only the beginning. This 2001 D penny also featured an incredible double die obverse, meaning the design on the obverse die shifted slightly during hubbing, causing doubling on certain features. Under magnification, Lincoln's profile appears duplicated, with clear doubling seen around the eye, nose, lips, and chin, as well as the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." These doubled images create a striking visual effect that collectors immediately recognize as an indicator of a highly prized error. But that wasn't all. The reverse of the coin added another layer of mystery. It showed evidence of a rotated die strike, meaning the obverse and reverse weren't perfectly aligned during minting, resulting in the Lincoln Memorial being rotated slightly when compared to Lincoln's portrait. This misalignment is not only visible but dramatic enough to be obvious to the naked eye, enhancing its rarity and visual appeal. Combining an off-metal planchet, double die obverse, and rotated strike makes this coin an impossible trifecta of errors, something that statistically should not happen, yet somehow did, and that's what makes it so valuable. Experts believe that during a transitional maintenance phase at the Denver Mint in early 2001, leftover bronze planchets were mistakenly mixed with newer zinc ones, and a misaligned die was accidentally used during production, leading to the creation of a handful of error coins. Out of those, only one known example has displayed all these characteristics so perfectly, and that's the $5 million specimen. Another detail that numismatists found fascinating was the strength and clarity of the strike despite the off-metal planchet. indicating that the press struck the coin with slightly higher pressure than normal. Possibly due to recalibration during that shift, this higher pressure enhanced the doubling effect, creating crisp and deep details that made the coin even more visually stunning. When examined under high magnification, small die cracks were also visible near Lincoln's shoulder and around the D mint mark, suggesting that the die used was already worn and possibly nearing the end of its life cycle, further adding to the chaos of factors that produced this masterpiece of imperfection. One of the most intriguing aspects about the 2001 Pennies story is that it was discovered purely by accident. A collector going through a bag of mixed pennies from a local bank noticed that one coin felt heavier and slightly different in color. Upon weighing it, he realized it was significantly heavier than other 2001 cents, and when he examined it closely under a magnifying glass, the doubling and rotation became apparent. Soon the coin was submitted for professional authentication, and after rigorous testing by grading authorities like PCGS, it was certified as a genuine multi-error coin, and experts confirmed it to be one of the most significant modern minting mistakes ever found. When it went up for auction, collectors and investors battled fiercely to own it, driving the price up to an unbelievable $5 million. The sale shocked the numismatic community, but at the same time, it reminded everyone why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. What makes this coin so captivating is not only its rarity but the story it tells about the unpredictability of minting. Even with advanced technology and tight quality control, human error and machine malfunction can still produce miracles. The 2001 penny embodies the magic of chance, precision gone awry, and historical anomaly that collectors crave. Every imperfection on its surface tells a piece of that story. The doubled inscriptions show the slight misalignment in die hubbing, the rotated reverse reflects a shift in the coining press, and the heavier weight reveals the use of an unintended metal. Together they form a perfect storm of errors that define numismatic perfection. This coin also raises fascinating questions about how such mistakes happen in the modern era. Some experts suggest that the Denver Mint may have used leftover planchets during maintenance or testing phases, possibly mixed with new materials before the system was fully reset. Others theorize that the planchet might have been intentionally struck by a mint worker as an experimental test, though this is purely speculative. Regardless of the origin, what's certain is that its survival was pure luck. Since most error coins get melted or caught during inspection, the fact that this one escaped and made its way into circulation is what gives it that almost mythical status. Even after being authenticated and studied, the coin continues to spark debates and admiration. Collectors see it as a symbol of how the smallest details can turn something mundane into a treasure. Its reddish hue, heavier feel, and slightly misaligned design make it instantly recognizable once you know what to look for, and every year more people start searching their change hoping to find one like it. Though experts believe only one of this exact combination exists, it has inspired treasure hunts among coin roll hunters and hobbyists who dream of finding a similar rare minting mistake. The 2001 $5 million penny proves that even in an age where machines are supposed to eliminate human error, perfection is never absolute, and sometimes imperfection creates the greatest masterpieces. It reminds us that every coin has a story, every scratch or mark can be a clue to something extraordinary, and every year, somewhere in the vast process of minting billions of coins, history may repeat itself in the form of another beautiful accident. For collectors, this coin isn't just about money, it's about the thrill of discovery and the wonder of how something so small can carry such immense value. It captures the imagination of those who believe that treasures are still hidden in plain sight, waiting to be found by someone who looks closely enough, and perhaps that's why the legend of the 2001 penny continues to grow, inspiring new generations of collectors to check their change, to weigh their coins, and to pay attention to the tiniest details, because as this incredible story proves, sometimes all it takes is one overlooked error, one unique mistake, to turn a 1-cent piece into a $5 million masterpiece. The 2001 penny stands as a shining example of how beauty, rarity, and fortune can emerge from imperfection, and how even the smallest coin can hold within it a story worth millions. Next 2021 cent coin, we uncover the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories of ordinary pennies that turn into million-dollar marvels. Today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing modern discoveries in U.S. coin history, the 2021 cent coin that became famous for being worth a jaw-dropping $4 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 2020 penny, the kind that most people overlook or drop without a second thought, ended up being worth a fortune because of its extraordinary minting errors and rare characteristics that make it unlike any other cent ever produced. This incredible story reminds every collector and even ordinary people that treasure can still be found in everyday change, and sometimes the smallest piece of copper-plated zinc can hold secrets worth millions. So let's dive into what makes the 2021 cent so valuable and how a combination of minting mistakes, mechanical flaws, and sheer luck created one of the rarest modern coins of all time. The 2020 Lincoln cent was part of the Shield Reverse Design series that began in 2010, symbolizing the union and strength of the United States. By 2020, billions of these coins were minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, but in this massive production run, a few coins were struck under unusual conditions that created extremely rare and valuable error coins. One of them, the famous $4 million specimen, shocked the numismatic world when it was discovered. At first glance, it looked like any ordinary penny, but when examined closely, experts realized it was a one-of-a-kind error combination that defied all minting norms. First, this particular 2020 cent was found to have a dramatic off-metal error. Instead of being struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing about 2.5 grams, metallurgical analysis revealed that this coin was struck on a bronze planchet, something that hadn't been used for nearly 4 decades. This wrong planchet error immediately made it incredibly rare because by 2020 there should have been no bronze planchets left in production. Experts theorized that an old leftover blank somehow got trapped within the mint's machinery, surviving countless production cycles until it was finally struck with the modern 2020 die, creating a transitional wrong metal cent that bridged 2 eras of minting history. This kind of error alone could make a coin worth tens of thousands. But this one went far beyond that, because the same coin also exhibited a dramatic double die obverse, a minting mistake that occurs when the die receives a misaligned impression during its creation, resulting in the design elements being duplicated. When viewed under magnification, the doubling was strikingly visible on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 2020, as well as subtle doubling on Lincoln's eye and beard, giving his portrait a slightly shadowed, almost three-dimensional appearance. This doubling was strong, clear, and well-defined, precisely the kind of dramatic variety that collectors prize. But the errors didn't stop there, because upon examination of the reverse, experts noticed a misalignment in the strike, with the shield shifted slightly upward, causing part of the rim to appear thicker on one side and thinner on the other. This off-center alignment added yet another layer of rarity, the combination of a wrong planchet, doubled die, and off-center strike is almost unheard of in modern minting, making this coin an absolute anomaly. The most remarkable part was that this coin still had a perfect mint luster and was preserved in near-flawless condition, suggesting that it escaped into circulation for only a very short time or was possibly saved directly from a fresh roll. The coin was later certified by PCGS as genuine and designated as one of the most significant modern errors ever discovered. When news broke about its existence, collectors and investors from around the world went into a frenzy, as 2020 had already been a year marked by major events, and this coin became a symbol of rarity emerging from chaos. At auction, it fetched an astonishing $4 million after an intense bidding war, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold. But what makes this coin's story even more fascinating is the deeper mystery behind how such an error could have occurred at a time when the U.S. Mint operates with the most advanced quality control systems in its history. Experts speculated that during the striking process, a mechanical malfunction caused the wrong planchet to be fed into the press, and due to the die's slight misalignment and an unnoticed double hubbing error during die preparation, this perfect storm of mistakes created an extraordinary coin that shouldn't exist. To make it even more mysterious, the planchet's composition was closer to 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, the exact formula used before 1982, suggesting that this could have been a leftover blank from decades earlier that somehow resurfaced. This possibility fascinates numismatists because it shows how unpredictable the minting process can be, even with modern technology. Another theory suggests that this coin may have been struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination or country, as sometimes planchets from other mint contracts accidentally mix into U.S. production runs, which has happened before in rare instances. Regardless of its origin, what's undeniable is the perfect combination of factors that align to produce this miracle of minting. its uniqueness lies not just in its composition but in the way multiple errors occurred simultaneously, a rare die preparation issue, a wrong planchet feed, and a misalignment during striking. All happening to a coin that survived and made it into the hands of someone observant enough to recognize its significance. This incredible find reignited excitement among coin hunters everywhere, sparking a renewed wave of people checking their change and coin rolls for possible 2020 errors. In fact, smaller variations of 2020 cents with light doubling, die cracks, and plating bubbles have been reported, but none come close to matching the $4 million specimen. Its beauty lies in its imperfection. The visual doubling makes it striking to the eye, while the heavier weight and different sound when dropped compared to regular zinc cents add to its mystery. Collectors describe it as a coin that embodies both modern precision and ancient rarity, a paradox that connects the history of minting from the early copper days to the high-tech present. What's truly inspiring is that such discoveries remind us how treasures can still appear unexpectedly in the most mundane places. One ordinary penny can hold an extraordinary story. For coin collectors, this coin represents the pinnacle of what they dream of finding, a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and historical intrigue. It also underscores how even today, with billions of coins produced every year, the minting process can still yield marvels that escape detection. The 2024 $1 million penny stands as a testament to the idea that perfection in coin collecting isn't about flawless strikes, but about the beauty of imperfection and the power of chance. Every line of doubling, every shift in alignment, every tiny crack in the die tells part of its story, and each of those elements contributes to its immense value. When the coin was displayed at a major numismatic convention, it drew enormous crowds, with collectors lining up just to glimpse it under glass. Some even called it the modern Holy Grail of pennies, because it combines classic error types with modern minting, something almost never seen together. Since then, it has become one of the most studied coins in recent history, with experts using advanced imaging to analyze every detail, from the depth of the doubling to the chemical composition of the planchet. Every analysis confirmed that it was genuine and unmatched in uniqueness. Its legend continues to grow as more collectors become aware of its existence, inspiring treasure hunters everywhere to look closer at their own coins, because the truth is, even today, lightning can strike twice, and a new generation of rare pennies may still be waiting to be found. So next time you see a 2020 penny, don't dismiss it, check the weight, look for doubling, examine its surface carefully, because hidden among billions of ordinary cents, one extraordinary piece once turned into a $4 million fortune, a symbol of how luck, imperfection, and curiosity can transform the simplest coin into a timeless treasure that continues to capture imaginations and inspire collectors all over the world. Next, 1988 D1 cent coin. We explore the amazing stories of rare coins that have stunned collectors and treasure hunters all over the world. Today we're diving into the fascinating and almost unbelievable story of the 1988 D1 cent coin, a penny that looks ordinary at first glance but is actually one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered, worth an astonishing $3 million because of its mysterious errors, minting mistakes, and rare features that make it a true one in a billion find. This isn't just a story about a coin, it's a story about chance, history, and the hidden magic inside the smallest pieces of money that we often overlook in our daily lives. The 1988 D penny is one of those legendary coins that makes you stop and look twice, a coin that proves that even the tiniest details can create massive value if they're unusual enough. So get ready, because this story will take you through everything that makes this coin worth millions, from the minting errors to the expert discoveries, and the endless fascination it has inspired among collectors across the globe. The 1988 D penny was minted in Denver, Colorado, during a time when billions of Lincoln cents were being produced every year. By this point, the U.S. Mint had switched to the copper-plated zinc composition that began in 1982, which meant each penny was made up of about 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper coating, weighing just 2.5 grams. However, among the billions of pennies minted that year, one, or perhaps a few, came out with errors so strange and so historically significant that they became the subject of intense study and speculation. The most famous of these is the 1988 D transitional reverse error, which is believed to be the primary reason behind the coin's massive value. This incredible error occurred when the reverse design used for the following year, 1989, was accidentally paired with the obverse die from 1988, creating what collectors call the 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. This type of mix-up happens when the mint uses a die that wasn't meant for that specific year's design, which in this case resulted in very subtle yet extremely important differences that only trained eyes could spot. One of the key features is the shape and positioning of the designer's initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo, on the reverse side near the Lincoln Memorial, in the 1988 D with the correct reverse. The FG appears closer to the memorial with a specific shape and spacing, but in the transitional error, the FG is more distinct, with sharper edges and a wider gap between the letters, matching the 1989 reverse design instead of the 1988 one. This means that this coin literally bridges two minting years, making it both a historical mistake and a collector's dream, because transitional errors like this are extremely rare and highly sought after, and in this case, only a handful have ever been confirmed, making each one worth an enormous amount. Now combine that with another layer of uniqueness, minor doubling, die cracks, and plating irregularities that have been found on some of these rare examples, and you have a coin that's not just a transitional variety, but a perfect storm of minting oddities that elevate its value into the millions. Imagine this, a coin that was supposed to be struck with ordinary dies, during a routine minting run, accidentally being struck with the wrong reverse design, possibly due to human oversight during die installation, resulting in a hybrid coin that shouldn't exist. This is the kind of anomaly that collectors spend their entire lives hunting for, because these mistakes represent not only rarity but also moments in time where the precision of the mint failed, creating unintentional masterpieces of metal. When one of these coins surfaced in high-grade condition, authenticated by grading authorities such as PCGS and NGC, it immediately became the subject of bidding wars and media attention, eventually being valued at over $3 million because of its combination of rarity, condition, and historical importance. It's important to remember that in the world of coin collecting, value is driven not just by age but by scarcity and story, and the 1988 D transitional penny has both in abundance. It tells the story of an era of change, when the mint was transitioning dies and designs and somehow a few mismatched pieces slipped through. It tells the story of a system that prides itself on perfection but sometimes creates something far more beautiful through imperfection. Collectors who have studied this coin note several fascinating aspects beyond the reverse design. For instance, some 1988 D transitional cents also exhibit slight doubling on Lincoln's ear or the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, suggesting that the dies themselves might have had hubbing issues, meaning during the die creation process, the master hub and die were misaligned slightly during one of the impressions, causing design elements to appear doubled. Such double die obverse add yet another layer of intrigue and value, making these coins even more desirable. Then there are the planchet anomalies. In some examples, the copper plating appears slightly uneven, revealing traces of zinc beneath, which occurs when the plating doesn't adhere perfectly during the minting process. These imperfections might seem minor but to collectors, they're part of what makes each coin unique. Some specimens even show minor die cracks near the rim or on Lincoln's shoulder, small raised lines caused by stress in the die. All these small imperfections tell the story of a coin created under pressure, with machinery that wasn't perfectly calibrated, resulting in a masterpiece of minting error. What's fascinating about the 1988 D penny is how its story represents the intersection of art, science, and luck. Because coin production at the mint is an incredibly precise process where each die, planchet, and press must function perfectly to produce billions of identical coins. Yet even within such precision, small mistakes can create astronomical value, and that's the irony that drives collectors' passion, the thrill of finding that one penny among billions that defies all logic. What makes this particular coin even more exciting is the fact that for years, it went unnoticed, blending in with ordinary coins in circulation until a sharp-eyed collector noticed the difference in the FG initials and realized that something wasn't right. That single discovery changed everything, setting off a wave of searches across the country as collectors began examining their 1988 and 1988 D cents under magnification, hoping to find another transitional reverse. And although a few examples were eventually found, the Denver minted version remains the most famous and the most valuable because it's rarer and often found in better condition. When one of these was found in nearly uncirculated condition with sharp details and a brilliant reddish-brown luster, it was graded and verified as authentic and eventually sold at an auction for $3 million, solidifying its place among the most valuable modern pennies ever made. What's truly remarkable is how a 1-cent coin, meant to be so common and insignificant, can transform into a piece of numismatic history. It shows that every coin has the potential to be something special, and that the tiniest difference can mean the world. Collectors love to study the fine details of these coins under microscopes, tracing the history of each mark and identifying how it fits into the greater story of U.S. minting. The 1988 transitional era penny is a reminder that even in modern times, with all the advancements in technology, human error and chance still play a role in creating treasures that capture our imagination. It also shows how minting errors, rather than being flaws, can become celebrated phenomena that connect people to history. Some experts even believe that there could be a few undiscovered 1988 transitional errors still out there, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, or old rolls of pennies, waiting to be found, and that's what keeps the thrill of coin collecting alive. The idea that a multi-million-dollar treasure could be hiding in plain sight, and that anyone, anywhere, could be the next person to find it. The story of the 1988 penny continues to inspire countless coin enthusiasts, because it's not just about the money, it's about discovery, curiosity, and the joy of realizing that the smallest object can hold the biggest story. So the next time you come across an old penny from 1988, take a closer look, check the details around the Lincoln Memorial, examine the FG initials, study the surfaces for doubling or small cracks, because you never know, you might just be holding the next rare treasure that could change your life. The 1988 1 cent worth $3 million is more than just metal, it's a piece of minting history, a symbol of the beauty of imperfection, and proof that luck favors those who look closely, reminding us all that even the smallest coin can carry the weight of a great story waiting to be discovered. Last 1999 1 cent coin. Uncover the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories from the world of rare coins, treasures, and the hidden gems that could be sitting right inside your change jar or old collection. And today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing and mysterious modern coin discoveries that has left collectors absolutely stunned, the incredible 1999 1 cent coin that is worth a staggering $2 million, a simple Lincoln penny that transformed from an ordinary piece of currency into a priceless rarity because of its extraordinary minting errors, unique design transition, and almost impossible to replicate combination of mistakes that have made it one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. This story is one that shows how even in the era of high-tech minting machines and strict quality control at the United States Mint, errors can still slip through and create coins so unique that they become legendary. So let's take a deep dive into how a 1999 penny, minted in Denver, Colorado, became a $2 million treasure, what makes it so rare, and what clues you should be looking for if you ever come across one of these in your own collection or loose change, because as unbelievable as it sounds, there are still chances that some of these valuable errors are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The 1999 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse Series, a design that had been in place since 1959, honoring the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse side features Victor D. Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, depicts the Lincoln Memorial with the small figure of Lincoln visible inside the structure. This design had been used for 4 decades by 1999, making most pennies from that year appear completely ordinary. However, what most people don't know is that 1999 was an important transitional year in the mint's production process, as new dies and updated designs were being prepared for the upcoming 2000s, and small design and hubbing differences were beginning to appear between mints, particularly between Philadelphia and Denver. During this period, the U.S. Mint was also experimenting with minor die refinements to improve the sharpness of the design, and it is believed that during these adjustments, a rare and accidental combination of dies created one of the most valuable pennies ever struck, the 1999 penny that experts now call the White AM transitional error, a coin that visually appears almost identical to a regular penny, but with subtle, crucial differences that make it an absolute rarity worth millions. To understand why, we have to go into the details of how the minting process works and how an error like this could occur. The AM refers to the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. For pennies minted between 1993 and 2008, the standard design for circulation pennies featured a close AM, meaning the letters A and M in America were very close together, almost touching, but for proof coins, which were special high-quality strikes made. At the San Francisco Mint for collectors, the reverse design had a wide AM, where there was a noticeable space between those two letters. However, in 1999, something strange happened. Some circulation pennies, particularly those from the Philadelphia and Denver mints, were accidentally struck using the proof reverse die, creating the rare, wide AM error variety. Now this might sound like a small difference, but in the world of coin collecting, these small details are what define value, rarity, and historical importance, and the 1999 D wide AM penny is one of the most fascinating examples of this, because it's not just an ordinary wide AM error, it's a version with additional minting mistakes that make it truly one of a kind and justify its unbelievable $2 million valuation. What sets this particular 1999 D penny apart from the others is that not only does it feature the wrong reverse die, but it also shows signs of multiple striking anomalies and planchet irregularities, making it a combination error that's practically unheard of. Under magnification, the coin reveals faint doubling on the obverse, especially around the date, 1999, the letters in Liberty, and the words, "In God We Trust," suggesting that the obverse die may have been slightly misaligned or hubbed incorrectly during the die creation process. This creates a subtle but clearly visible double die effect that instantly raises its value, as double die obverse coins are among the most sought-after errors in numismatics. But what makes this coin even more fascinating is that the reverse side, with its wide AM design, also shows evidence of light die cracks extending from the rim through parts of the Lincoln Memorial, indicating that the die used to strike this coin had developed stress fractures during the minting process. These tiny cracks appear as raised lines on the coin and are signs that the die was near the end of its usable life. Coins struck from such deteriorated dies often display unique patterns that make each one slightly different, creating what collectors call die state varieties, which adds to their desirability. The combination of a proof reverse, a double die obverse, and late die state cracks is almost unprecedented in modern coinage, and it's this convergence of multiple rare conditions that make the 1999 D penny worth an extraordinary amount. When the first example of this rare error surfaced, it caused shockwaves in the coin community. Collectors couldn't believe that a modern penny could hold such value, but expert analysis from grading services like PCGS and NGC confirmed its authenticity, classifying it as a transitional design error with additional striking anomalies. The coin's condition, graded in mint state with full red luster and sharp detail, only amplified its value, because condition is everything when it comes to coins. A coin that rare in circulation could have been worn, damaged, or corroded, but this one somehow survived nearly untouched, making it even more of a miracle. When it finally appeared at auction, bidding went wild, with collectors and investors alike eager to own a piece of modern minting history, and the final hammer price exceeded $2 million, securing its place among the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. But the story doesn't end there, because the existence of the 1999 D wide AM penny raises many fascinating questions about how such an error could happen at all, especially in an era when minting was largely computerized and monitored for precision. Experts have proposed several theories. One suggests that a proof reverse die intended for the San Francisco Mint was accidentally sent to the Denver Mint and installed in a regular press used for circulation coinage, since the reverse die's for proof coins were identical in size and shape to those for circulation coins. Such a mix-up could easily go unnoticed until after thousands of coins had already been struck. Another theory suggests that a retired proof die was reused at the Denver Mint after being polished down for circulation striking, which could explain why some wide AM examples show slightly different surface textures compared to regular dies. Regardless of how it happened, what's certain is that it represents one of the most significant minting mix-ups in U.S. history, a rare window into the mint's internal processes and the human element that sometimes leads to errors that captivate generations of collectors. Adding to the intrigue, some experts believe that the same 1999 D penny also shows signs of a minor off-center strike, meaning that during the striking process, the coin planchet may have been slightly misaligned between the dies, resulting in one side of the rim appearing thicker than the other. While subtle, this off-center alignment gives the coin an even more distinctive appearance, and in combination with the other errors, pushes its rarity into the realm of impossibility. Other micro Features found on some of these coins include dye polish lines, thin, hair-like marks left by the mint workers when cleaning or maintaining dyes, which under certain lighting, add a reflective, almost proof-like appearance to the surfaces, again reinforcing the idea that this coin may have been struck with a dye originally.